But even more important than that, we need gender equality so that boys won't be violent. There's a wonderful charity based in Edinburgh called Zero Tolerance, which is teaching gender equality to childminders so that they can teach children that they're equal, they have equal opportunities, and they do it specifically to reduce violence from men to women when they're adults. We need to start much earlier than men.
OK, Milo, you want to come in?
Unbelievable, astonishing sexism. We have to teach young boys not to be boys so they won't be violent.
Why is being violent being...
Get out! I'm sorry. We teach boys and girls that they're the same, and that's a problem. They are different. When we do experiments on young babies and even on related animals, we know that certain children go for certain toys. Boys and girls are different. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the problems that men are experiencing in society, and since you're not a man, perhaps you could like to give it a rest for a second. So there is a wider context in which men are suffering slightly. Even 10 years ago it would have been ridiculous to say it, but very recently we've seen a lot of structural advantages to being a woman crop up in education, in the workplace. Under 30, women earn more than men for the same work in the UK and the US now. Particularly if you're white and you're a man. And what feminists don't seem to appreciate the irony of is that they are relentlessly ridiculing people on the basis of skin colour and sex. And they don't seem to get the irony there.
Feminism is cancer. Thank you very much.
What Milo meant to say is that feminism, while being a noble and valiant, courageous movement, there are certain schools of thought that are somewhat unwholesome. Right, Milo?
No, I meant it was cancer. Political correctness was what prevented, or at least retarded, the police and the government from arresting Pakistani rape gangs in Rotherham in the UK. Over the course of 10 years, these familial Muslim rape gangs raped 1,400 young girls. And they weren't stopped, even though the police knew what was going on, because of political correctness, the fear of being seen as racist.
Your army reaction like that. You can't support those comments.
No, of course not. But here's the thing. I understand why Kate doesn't understand how fame works, but I do. And the thing is, you know, I'm not particularly interested in a professional provocateur who goes out and says deliberately outrageous things, like I do, turning around and then playing the victim when she doesn't like ridicule or criticism afterwards.
I don't say anything outrageous.
Ridicule, let me finish. I'll let you finish.
Right.
I'll let you finish, so stop. You know,
no.
After she lost the debate, as feminists very often do these days, because they've got facts on their side, you know, she turned around and she did what feminists always do, which is confect a sob story. Now, Kate is, like me, a professional provocateur, but only one of us plays the victim afterwards. Now, it's interesting, you know, if we get back to the question, it's interesting that, you know, that it's even being framed like this at all, because what the research shows, the Pew Global data from 2014 shows, is that actually it's men who get more abuse online than women. It is men who get more death threats, it's men who get more violence threats. The only thing that women beat men at, and this is Pew Global data, is the gold standard of research. The only thing that women beat men in is cyber stalking. And guess what? A lot of the people doing the stalking are other women. What social media shows isn't that men hate women, it's that women hate everyone.
Okay. Milo, I said we'd come to Milo. I mean, I know you want to respond to that, but you did this poll online.
Yes, it is.
What would you rather your child had, feminism or cancer?
Yep. And 22,000 people voted, and people voted in favour of cancer.
That's a good scientific thing.
What the statistics show us is that in just 2 years, the number of women who identify as a feminist in the US has gone from 28 to 18%. The number of British women who identify as feminists has slumped to an all-time low of 7%. Why? Because these are the kinds of representatives of feminism. Professional provocateurs who play the victim after the fact.
Madam, I'm grateful to you for coming, but to be quite honest with you, fuck your feelings.
That some that there is an advantage to being a man in certain subjects. There's reason to suppose that gender essentialism, biological determinism, whatever you want to call it, the fact that there are male brains and female brains, may indeed have some basis in science. Now, this is sort of thrown out of the window completely by feminists and female academics who just refuse to accept that there's any reason whatsoever why there might be a gender imbalance. Two things on that. One, actually the science is very much still out on that. And two, if you look at equality in society, if you look, for example, at Bangladesh versus Norway, what you notice is the number of women in science and technology subjects actually goes down as societies get more equal, because women simply don't make the same choices that female academics and feminists would like them to. Women actually don't want to go into the sciences on the whole, and when they have every option available to them, they tend to choose not to. If you're going to get put off a career in science because of an offhand comment from a Nobel Prize winner, how committed were you really in the first place to being a scientist? Well, it's brilliant being a gay man because you can get away with murder. You can do anything. I mean, there's the one respect in which identity politics is brilliant. You know, as a gay man or a lesbian, you can basically get away with murder. You can be bitchy, you can be sarcastic, you can be rude and abusive, and you can do whatever the hell you like, and nobody complains. Okay, so we have to ask:
girls perform better at university.
You have to ask if this is really a problem. More women are going to university. They're getting higher grades at school. They're getting higher grades at university.
20% of all
more
A-level
women graduate. Women in their 30s earn more than men for the same work in their 30s in the UK and the US now. They are 2 to 1 more likely to get a job with the same qualifications. Where's the structural bias against women here? I don't see the problem here. What I do see actually is a very reasonable complaint from a lot of young men, not my generation maybe, you know, I'm sort of 10 years older than them, but from a lot of young men who are going to university, going into the workplace, and they don't recognise the world you're describing. But this is based on an assumption that there ought to be some kind of gender parity. My suggestion is that there isn't. We don't complain when women dominate subjects like nursing. We shouldn't complain when men dominate subjects like physics.
I'd say if you can take a dick, you can take a joke.
Oh,
The difference is when I call feminists fat, they are.